Hey everybody, and welcome back to GSPTV. As mentioned earlier in the program, we have with us right now for a very important interview about debt settlement, the President and CEO of Christian Credit Counselors, Greg McTaggart. Greg, it's so good to have you on the program.
Thank you, Mark.
Again. And I need to mention as well that you're also the founder of the Good Samaritan program, the DVD series. That was your brainchild, and I know churches all over the nation have been blessed by that. Now, we're talking about debt settlement because we want anybody watching this program today, we're wanting pastors or church members to beware of debt settlement and how destructive this industry can be on individuals. And we've certainly seen our fair share of people that have contacted Christian credit counselors, and we've in most cases we've been able to help salvage and help these people and so forth. So now we're going to talk a little bit about one particular example of a lady. We're going to call her Jane. That's not her real name. And we're going to talk through what happened, what we've done to help her, and also talk a little bit about some of the other dangers of debt settlement. So we've got some documents here as well. So we're going to talk through some of these because we've got all of her documentation here. But Jane, let me give you some background and then we're going to bring you in. Now, Jane was a lady who was current on all her accounts. She had an above average paying job. She had high interest rates, and her total amount of debt was only just a little bit over $35,000. So unfortunately, instead of seeking the advice of a credit counselor, she went to a law firm and enrolled in a debt settlement program. And so we're going to have a look at Exhibit A. This will be up on your screen, and have a look at the contract here that we have. If we just have it here somewhere. Okay, Exhibit A. So as we can see, they're estimating a settlement to the creditor of around $14,000, Greg. I mean, her debt's around $36,000. But look at the fees that are here. We've got initial retainer fees, $850, administrative fees, $5,500, monthly service fee, $3,000.
Exactly.
So add on the fees to the $14,000 and you got $24,000. It still looks pretty good. But here's the problem. This is only an estimate. It's like me saying, hey, I think I'm going to be able to get you 20 grand off your debt.
Exactly.
You pay me 10 grand, but it's not guaranteed. I don't know if it's going to happen. In fact, the majority of times, debt settlement companies, because they don't have a relationship with creditors, the majority of the time it never happens. And what happens is that the debt settlement company walks away with all the money. The poor consumer is left holding a bill that now not only has $36,000, but it's probably ballooned to $40,000 or $50,000. They're in a far worse off place than they were before. And in the case of this case of Jane, she is far worse off. Exactly. So I guess the question that that we want to touch on and talk about a little bit is, how do debt settlement companies really get away with this?
Well, I mean, first off, I mean, they lure you in with these enticing offers. You see them all over the internet, TV, they entice you in, and then you might wind up at a place that you think is a law firm. This example, was in a different law group. You think, oh, these are lawyers. They're not lawyers. They're using under some lawyer's name, but you're never actually talking to the lawyer.
Wow. Okay.
So they lure you in thinking, oh, I'm doing something proper, I'm doing something legal, I'm doing something proactive, and they have you sign these huge agreements that basically, in the agreement, says that they don't have to do anything. They promise absolutely nothing. They guarantee even less. But the one thing they're going to do is take a lot of your money.
And are they even negotiating with the creditors? Or are they just taking the money? Well,
I mean, negotiation is a wide open term, okay?
Right.
Once you quit paying your bills, and they encourage you to stop paying your bills, because they're not going to negotiate you while you're paying them, obviously. So they encourage you not to pay your bills. So that forces you to go to a collection agency, okay? The collection agency always wants to talk about getting paid. I mean, that's the first thing out of their mouth is, we want to get paid. Well, that'd be great. Well, where's the money going to come from? Well, you've paid all this money up front to the debt settlement company, in this case, over $9,000. Where's your money? Well, gee, I don't have any money. Well, that's your problem. And they leave you holding the bag, pretending like, oh, well, we got this settlement arrangement, and now it's your problem, not mine. And they've misled you the whole way down the path. They haven't explained to you all these outrageous fees, how your debt is going to balloon up from, in this case, $36,000, well over 40-some thousand by not paying. Those penalties keep accruing. Your credit's going to be destroyed. They don't explain any of these things to you clearly. They write up these 20-page contracts and have you sign, but who really sits down and looks at all 20 pages?
Yeah, exactly.
It's very misleading.
And I should say to the viewers here that, I believe the total fees added up to $9,500. And here's the thing, really, is that you can do this on your own.
Absolutely.
All you have to do for, be your own debt settlement person, really, is to stop paying your creditors and try and negotiate with them to cut the amount that you owe. So that is the irony of it. She's paid all this money to this debt settlement company when really she could have just done what they've done on their own. But I guess they use the word law or lawyers, and she thinks there are things that they can do that she can't.
Right.
And I think that's where the great con is, that a lot of people don't realize that if really you want to stop paying with your creditors and you want to negotiate with them, you can do it yourself. Just contact them by phone or email, stop paying them, which I wouldn't recommend doing, by the way. But if you did want to do that, then you wouldn't need a debt settlement company to do that. So,
and that's how the trap works.
Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, if you have a good job, if you have assets, I mean, they're going to come after you. Not paying your bills, sticking your head in the sand is not a solution, and that's what these people suggest. Don't pay your bills, shut off your phone, put your head in the sand, ignore them until it goes to a collection agency, and we'll try to work out a deal with them. And the key word, try to work out a deal. There's no guarantees.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at this, the more I look at this contract, the more amazed I am. I mean, here we're talking about how they're only possibly estimating maybe they'll be able to settle for 40% of the debt, and it's going to take 44 months. So here you are faithfully paying money to this debt settlement company for 44 months, ignoring your creditors.
Exactly.
And there's no guarantee that at the end of the 44 months that they're even going to be able to settle the debt. And like you said, what happens in most cases is that they owe far more than what they did originally. The debt isn't settled at all. It's way, way out of control.
Exactly.
And they come after you with lawsuits and collection. They garnish your wages. You can go to jail.
Right.
And they don't, and like you said, they hide that in the contract. It's there, but it's tough to find.
Exactly. And a great example of that is the payment schedule that you've printed out for everyone. I mean, if you look at the year's worth of payments this woman made, I mean, they were having her make $555 payments each month, of which they took a $140 retainer fee, a $255 administrative fee, a $69 monthly service fee, a $9 DPG custodial fee. Who even knows what that is? So out of this woman's $555, $79 went into a magical savings account to help settle her $35,000 in debt. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
They're taking advantage of her.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, it even says in the agreement in page 8 of section 11 that the law firm does not warrant or guarantee any specific results of negotiation, including settlement amounts or percentages, and client may not rely on any such option or estimate as a guarantee or regard any such expression as anything other than an opinion or estimate. Client further acknowledges that any enrolled creditor may try to collect the debt and sue the client. Oh my gosh, I mean,
it's beautiful, isn't it? Estimate,
crazy.
Opinion, maybe, could be, maybe. I mean, it's so far-fetched that, anybody who would look at this, who are really reading to, who are really counting on this to work, I mean, they're promising absolutely nothing, and they're delivering.
Yeah. So as we can see also in section 13, the client is agreeing not to negotiate, which means they are not going to talk to their creditors. And so this is really not a good thing. And this is what happens. I mean, if you don't talk to your creditors and don't pay them, what's going to happen?
Exactly. I mean, you don't pay them, you refuse to talk to them. They have standard procedures, and you go into default, you go into charge-off, and then they send you to a collection agency.
Yeah.
And most people don't understand half of those terms.
Yeah.
Some people think, oh, I'm charged off, I don't owe them money anymore. No, that's not what it means. It means your credit just got destroyed, and they're going to send it to a collection agency to sue you.
Yeah.
Or come after you in some way.
Now, and you notice on the payment schedule that the payment to the debt settlement company is really high at the start and it gets less as it goes on.
Exactly.
And why is that?
Well, they front load their fees.
Right.
Because their failure rate is almost, 99%. I mean, let's face it, these people fail. They pretend like they advertise these numbers that they have a great success rate. They have a good success rate at getting someone to offer a settlement.
Yeah.
Okay? offering and being able to pay is a whole different ball of wax.
Yeah.
Okay, so they front load their fees, where they take all their fees as soon as they can in the first 8-9 months before you start going to these collection agencies and they start suing you. Because they can't stop that.
And that's what's happened in this case with Jane, is that she's pretty much paid all the fees, and suddenly she's realised now, and I'll bring you to a quick update here of what's happened, is that her creditors are suing her, and had she stayed on the program, they would have had her wages garnished. So none of her debt has been paid off by this debt settlement company. The creditor does not want to have anything to do with this debt settlement company. And so she is in a position now where 3 of her 6 accounts, actually her balances have increased. Her Amex has gone from a couple of $100 higher. Her Capital One is a couple of $1,000 higher.
Great.
So she owes more money. She's paid $5,000 to this debt settlement company. About $4,000 of that, I believe, are in fees, and she only got back about $1,000 of that, which they were holding in an account for her. So what's happened with her here is that her debt has gone up. Her credit score is ruined. Her credit cards are now in overflow. She owes much more than what she did than when she originally started. And because it takes some time for you to realise that debt settlement is a scam and it doesn't work, but it's too late because they front-loaded the fees, so they get all their fees up front before you even realise how bad a program it is. Now, had they come to Christian credit counsellors, explain the difference, because I just hear so many people saying, oh, are you like debt settlement? Well, obviously the answer is no.
Yeah, exactly. But before you jump into the benefits of credit counseling, I mean, the last slap in the face they give to poor Jane is, you know, oh, your creditors don't want to work with you. Oh, they're going to sue you. Oh, they're going to garnish you. Oh, they're coming after you. Coincidentally, we're in bed with this lawyer who'll file bankruptcy for you for an extra $3,000.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, on top of everything else, on top of the debt settlement company taking all their money and their fees and their program, they ding her for another $3,000 to file bankruptcy because
they've forced her into that option.
They've channeled her right there, and she's got no choice.
Amazing. Okay, so definitely, you know, Christian credit counselors or credit counseling is the way to go. Tell us a little bit about how Christian credit counseling differs, how we handle it, and then also let's have a look at some stats on what how we would have helped her had she come on board with us, and how we are helping her now, of course.
Exactly. I mean, again, we're professional, non-profit, licensed and bonded credit counselors. We're accountable to the client to give the client the best advice based on their circumstance. We're giving advice on how to handle their bills. One example is us handling their bills, which is called a debt management plan, where we handle the bills, we negotiate with their creditors, work out lower repayment arrangements, we always keep the communication going, we always keep the payments going to the creditor, we always maintain their credit in the best possible plan that we can.
And FICO actually says that credit counseling does not affect, you know, a person's credit score, which seems pretty obvious because, you know, basically
you're still making the payments.
Yeah, you're making the payments. You're making and the balances are decreasing.
And they're decreasing, your payments are made on time. The only thing that we're doing is asking the credit card companies, hey, this person's struggling a little bit. Can you lower the interest rate to help them out, which lowers their payment, which gets them out of debt so much quicker. So it's a huge benefit.
And what is the fee?
The fee is $35. Our average person pays $26 because we're a nonprofit. We help some people for free.
Wow, and Jane was paying around $500 a month. And it was $35.
For nothing.
And here's the big difference. Debt settlement don't have relationship with banks or creditors. This particular debt settlement company had an F with a Better Business Bureau. And Christian Credit Counselors, what's the rating on BBB? An A rating. And for over 20 years, have helped over 300,000 people get out of debt in less time. And how many thousand creditors does Christian Credit Counselors have a relationship with now?
Thousands and thousands of creditors we work with every single day.
Yeah, and we have those pre-existing relationships.
It's been set up. I mean, credit counseling has been around since the 1950s. I mean, it's nothing new. Debt settlement is a new twist that these guys are out trying to make a quick hustle buck and steal. I mean, if you check anywhere, the government website, FTC, the Better Business Bureau, any site you're going to check, the State Attorney General Office, they're all going to be overwhelmed with complaints from these people taking advantage of people that are having financial problems.
So now also, Greg, what some other people may not realize about debt settlement is that even if by the 1% of debt settlement companies that manage to negotiate and actually slice off your debt, you know, that debt that is forgiven
Well,
is not forgiven by the IRS.
Right. And again, to be clear, the 1% that actually comes up with the money and pays the bill. Yeah. That's the super rare part. It doesn't happen. Yeah. But that 1% that actually does pay the bill and does save 50%, yeah, the IRS sends you a tax bill for the 50% because it looks like you made money.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, even after all that and you think you're free and clear, all of a sudden you get a big tax bill by the IRS.
On top of the $9,000 fee you've paid them.
Yeah, the debt settlement company. So all around,
you're right back in the same thing. Yeah. You're almost paying the exact full amount again.
Yeah, amazing.
And destroying your credit.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, of course, for Jane here, we have her stats. Now that we're helping her out and we're negotiating, she's in collection sadly, but we're still helping her out. And we're negotiating with the legal firms that are suing her. All the banks are suing her. So, but we are helping her out. So anybody who is in debt settlement, the good news is that we can help you. If you'll call us, if you'll contact us, email us, we will get in contact with you and we will do our best to help you out. Right. Now, so Jane here, her debt was just over $36,000. Her interest rate was 24%. And it'll take her 31 years to pay off that debt, and she would have paid $54,000 in interest.
Correct.
Now, with Christian credit counselors, what are the stats there?
Again, by keeping the same bills, just by asking the credit card companies to lower the interest rates, which they do all the time, it takes it down to around 10% interest, and years to pay off is about 4.5 years to pay off, using the exact same dollars.
Yeah, and how much interest would she pay?
About $9,000.
Okay, so
$9,500.
Wow, so all of a sudden we've gone from $54,000 in interest down to $9,000, which is a saving for Jane of $45,000 in interest, and all for a small monthly fee of $35 per month.
$35 again.
Incredible. All right, so Greg, take us out with the 4 things that people should learn from today's program regarding debt settlement.
Well, I mean, the first thing is just say no to debt settlement. The model does not work. It does not help any consumer get out of debt. It only causes more trouble and makes them a ton of money.
Run from debt settlement.
The next thing is always read what you sign. I mean, when they hand you a 20-page document that's all typed up with phrases in there like maybe, could be, their opinion, no guarantees. I mean, there's nothing in there that promises you anything. Run from that. Don't sign it. Get a second opinion. The next thing you want to do is check with the BBB. Check with the Attorney General's office. I mean, there's a reason there's these departments set up is to help consumers stay away from fraudulent companies. And the last thing is, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. It's always been that way. They promise you, oh, you don't have to pay your bills, we'll save you a ton of money. It just doesn't happen.
Well, thank you so much, Greg, for coming on the show today, and certainly talking about debt settlement and just helping us to make the public and consumers aware of this nasty practice that is out there that people need to avoid.
Absolutely.
So appreciate your time again, and we're going to be right back in just a minute.